Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, to all my graceful audience, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Rahmat Empowerment Wala, striving to achieve self sustainability for me and for the people alike. I'm host of this interview series named Empowering Minds. In this interview series, our objective is to call upon such prestigious and honorable guests who haven't just explored their own mind power, but are trying to help and explore other people to explore their minds, their mind powers. So, to serve the purpose, we have today with us Baba Sam Shelley, and he's from New City, New York. And we are prestigious and we are so honorable to have him in our show. And let's welcome him. Hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing well, Ramit. Very good to meet you. I'm just sharing this out with my audience, so just give me a second. I just want to make sure everyone that needs to hear this will hear this, because I'm really curious to see what's going to happen today. I have no idea. It's always beautiful. All right,
Yeah, sure.
perfect.
Take your time. I'm
Oh,
excited as well.
okay, that's it. We're good.
So, again, thank you for being here with us.
Yes, it's beautiful to be here in your presence and just relax to that deeper essence that is us. Just to relax and breathe and realize it's all going to be okay.
Excellent preparation. So, to follow the pattern, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience so everyone gets to know about you and your work.
Yes, so my name is Baba Sam Shelley. I grew up, I was a very sick man for 38 years with a lot of chronic conditions. I was chronically sick. I always believed these mental stories that I call the head trash, our thoughts, our beliefs that are not in our best interest. So that kept me ingrained in these diseases that it was incurable, taking the doctor's word as the knowledgeable ones who knew what was best for me. So to back up a little bit, I was hit by a car at age 6, and I spent about a year in a hospital. I had head trauma, broken elbow, broken hip. I was in really bad shape. So this started 38 years of poor health. So I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, bipolar, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, migraines, PTSD, anxiety disorders. So I was a really sick man for 38 years. I'm no longer sick. I don't have any of those diseases anymore. No medicine, no cane, no nothing.
Excellent. So, the $1 million question is could you share your journey overcoming health challenges and any lesson you could give us about it?
Yeah, so the big thing that I learned and I talk about and to empower people is don't take your thoughts, your beliefs as the absolute truth. There's something within all of us that is connected to all that is, Allah, God, whatever you wish to call it, that we're all connected to that source. And that is where the deeper wisdom resides. And we're trying to figure this out in our mind when it's not meant to be figured out in the mind. It's meant for a deeper essence, if you will, because this human called Sam had no idea how to heal multiple sclerosis or bipolar or any of these diseases I had. But there's something within me that knew to realize Allah, God, can do all things when we surrender this mental voice that is not serving us.
You mentioned that not allowing life conditions to define us. How can individuals detach their self identity from external circumstances, and what benefits does this bring?
Well, yeah, it's really learning to realize that we know that we know. There's a deeper essence within us that knows the answer. The mind makes us forget that we know the answer. And the way we get into this wisdom is to be fully here now, to realize that you're sitting, your feet are on the floor, that you're listening. Usually the mind is really caught up what's going to happen an hour from now, what happened earlier today. And you're not here, you're in the mind. So you're either in the mind or fully here. And when you're fully here, then you're aligned with that greater essence. And the mind loves to create all these complexities that has to be more difficult than that. No, it's really just learning to be here and being at peace with this moment, knowing that all is well. Things are working out in a way I cannot understand. There's a divine power, if you will, and control. We just have to surrender to that greater essence, if you will.
Okay, so when you were sick, what challenges you were facing and how you overcame those challenges?
Yeah, so when I was sick, dealing with multiple sclerosis, bipolar, all these kind of ailments that I had, it was very challenging because we believe the knowledgeable ones that you're incurable, that you're not supposed to be reliable, you're supposed to be fatigued, you're supposed to be tired. You have all these stories. And with multiple sclerosis, I had a cane, so people would open doors for you, and it keeps you ingrained that you're not healthy, that you're not up to speed, if you will, because everyone's doing things for you and they have no expectations for you. But that's just a mental story. It's not our truth. That to spirit, to God, to Allah, nothing is impossible and nothing is incurable. It's just a matter of complete surrender into this moment.
Okay. And when we were talking in the messenger, we were having a chat. You said about identity and self alignment. So can you elaborate on what it means to align with one's true self and what it's important for personal strength and well being?
Yeah, because usually we think we are identity. I'm a male. I'm sitting here in New York City. And no, there's a greater essence that was never born, never dies. That's the consciousness within us. And we have to realize to align to that which we are, the light of God, if you will, is just to be here in this moment. The mind wants this really complexity, difficulties that has to be something other than that, just to be fully here. This is what spiritual awakening is to be here, not in the mind, not in our stories, not in our beliefs, not in our thoughts, just being here, appreciating this moment as it is. Most people get stressed out, worried, anxiety when they're protesting against this moment. This can't be. This moment has to be different. The way you change this moment is to be here, then move the life situation in a different direction, a different course. Not being accepting, oh, that's just the way it is. No, you can get yourself fully here and take a pause. What's another way to move forward? How can I do this differently? To pause, to relax, and see what wisdom rises up within you. Maybe that gut instinct, maybe a knowing that, oh, I meant to go this way. I meant to take a right turn here. In the past, I've always taken a left turn because the mind gets ingrained in these patterns. Once again, it's all about surrendering to the divine within us and that it's not our job to figure things out. There's something within you that knows. And if we get quiet, then we know the way.
Your what you are saying is so hard to grasp and completely understand, but I have been trying since I have been in contact with you. I have been trying to grasp all the knowledge what you are trying to say, but not successful 100%, but trying.
Yeah,
So my
the way we can recap this, the mind is always commanding us, do this, do that, do this, follow that person, follow this person. But we can let all that mental activity go. Just let it all go and just realize the divine is within me. I'm not separate from the divine. The mind lives in separation, that you and God are, separate somehow, but you're always connected. You're always connected to that higher power. The only thing that's creating separation is these mental stories, these thoughts, these beliefs that we are separate. And when we can surrender that mind, then we know, I'm aligned with who I really am, this light of Allah, of God, whatever it may be, of spirit, of soul, whatever word you want to use is perfect, because words are just based on our perception, our upbringing. And just to realize there's something within us that is very silent, very peaceful, just nudging us along the way.
Excellent. Okay, you're talking about negative thinking, and basically you used word head trash in your profile is prominent word head trash.
Yeah.
So could you explain what you mean by head trash and offer practical strategies for transcending negative thinking patterns to lead more joyful and prosperous life?
Yeah, so it's really to realize that the head trash could be the negative thoughts, it could be the self-doubt, it can be the worry that you're not good enough, that you're not deserving to have this job, not deserving to have this relationship, this house, this car, whatever it may be. Head trash comes in millions of flavors of things creating scarcity, lack. You can't have this. You're not good enough. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. It's all that judging and condemning of ourselves. And then self criticism is also a really powerful form of head trash, is self criticism. It prevents us from living the life that we want to live. And that zaps our prosperity because the mind's always saying, you're not worthy, you're not deserving. Well, why not? Why aren't you deserving? Why is that true? It's not true. Allah created us to be abundant, to love life, to appreciate life, not to be stuck in worry, stress, fears, doubts, poverty, whatever it may be. That was not why we were created.
Okay, you talked about prosperity and abundance. So, how do we go or pursue creating abundance and prosperity in our lives, especially we are currently facing financial struggles and all limitations?
Right, that's an important word there. When you say financial struggles, notice how the mind starts focusing on the lack of funds, the lack of resources. And the way the universe works, it's always saying yes to you. So you're worried about finances, will give you more to worry about. So you want to see it before it becomes reality. You have to use your imagination. It's sort of like, in a way, a prayer, where you're just setting in an intention of the desired outcome that you wish, that you desire. But the mind is always focused on what you do not have, the lack. When you focus on lack, you get more lack. So I'm really not a big fan of heal or healing, because usually when you say I need to be healed, you're focusing on what's wrong with the body. And when you focus on what's wrong, you get more wrong. So just focus yourself on perfect health, living the life you want to live, not allowing this current reality to define, allowing this current reality to define your future. If we're always in a state of worry, we're setting up the future to be the same. If we're seeing the future that we wish to see and we keep believing it and we keep trusting it, then it will come to be. But it's really holding faith to that. The divine has everything in order. I need to surrender any worries, any doubts, because that blocks the prosperity, that blocks the abundance. The God, universe, Allah always is saying yes to us, always, that our prayers are always answered. But then we start going, like, we pray and we say, oh, but that's not going to happen for me. And that just blocks it. Or I'm not good, I'm not deserving, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And no, we just need to let that all go and be in a place of unconditional love and acceptance, because that is our divine essence, is accepting and loving of all, that there's no separation from the view of spirit, of soul, of consciousness. There's no separation. And the mind has all this separation that you're thousands of miles away from me. It's like, no, in consciousness, we're joined. There is no separation. We're together. But it makes no sense for this logical mind. And quantum physics can prove that we're intertwined in this quantum energy, that there is no separation.
You said that the healing, the about healing. You said I didn't grasp that concept. If we do not accept that we need to be healed, how we try to be healed? If we don't accept the fact that we need to be healed.
Well, once again, you don't want to focus on what's wrong with the body. When you focus on what's wrong with the body, it stays in place because the universe is always saying, yes, my knee hurts, my knee hurts. Your knee's going to keep hurting because you're focused on that. But if you start focusing on my knee's feeling better, thank you, it's feeling better, it's improving, and you hold that mindset that it's improving, it's getting better, and the knee will get better. Or you'll have this knowing that you'll need to do something different. That, okay, I see my knee healthy, and they might just have an insight. Oh, I need to go do this. I need to go to do that. Like I said, spirit's always nudging us, but we just have to get the mind out of the way to hear these deeper instructions. And this is really hard for the mind to accept that there's a deeper essence within us that is nudging us on the right course. And we can think of this as gut or gut instincts, if you will, gut reaction. Like you're facing a project, the mind says you need to go do it this way. But you're just feeling like, no, that doesn't feel right. I need to go do it this way. But the mind has convinced you to do it this other way. So you spend 3 or 4 hours doing it this other way. Then you're like, this isn't working. So then you trust your first instinct and you do it that way and it was done in 5 minutes. That's that inner knowing that we have, that gut instinct, that gut knowing that has no explanation. Like when I had multiple sclerosis, this deeper voice was telling me to do things that my mind would say impossible. Like I would have a knowing that it was time to go do yoga. So I did yoga, and 6 months later, I didn't need the cane. But my mind was saying, you can't do yoga. Your balance is terrible. You're going to embarrass yourself, and all these kind of stories. But I ignored that voice and followed that deeper voice. It's time to do yoga.
Excellent. Okay, there also one more topic which I would like you to, talk about, finding joy in our natural state. We had this conversation. So, you mentioned that our nature state is joyful. Our natural state is joyful. Yet
Hmm.
many people struggle to find joy in their lives. Could you
Yeah.
share some insights into why people often deviate from this natural state and what mental stories might be holding them back?
Yeah. The mind has expectations that this moment needs to be this way for me to be happy. It's like, no, spirit, your soul is happy right here, right now. It has no demands of the human experience. It's just appreciating this moment for the moment as it is. But if the moment isn't desirable to the mind, we have to first accept it, then move it in a different direction. And this is hard to see that for people that are not happy, not joyful, they have some kind of story within them. And sometimes I'll ask people, what makes you happy? And they can't answer it because nothing makes them happy. They have all these expectations that life is supposed to unfold a certain way. And it's about letting go of those expectations, letting go of those demands, letting go of the future guessing, and learning to see life as you wish to see it, not getting caught in your current reality. And just excuse me there. That's a really important point is most people are not happy and joyful because they're caught in the current reality. The mind thinks this moment needs to be different. And it simply isn't that way. The moment is the way it is. If it's not desirable, Pause, take a breath. How can you move it a different way? How can you move it a different direction? And sometimes you can't do anything that moment. If you're in a prison, in a jail cell, you can't exactly change the moment. So then it's just to start practicing appreciation, acceptance of this moment, that this is the temporary situation. There's nothing I can do about it. Protesting against it will only make me stressed, worry, make the experience even more difficult. So the best I can do is just accept this experience, regardless of how difficult the mind tries to make it. That once sometimes we can't change our situation. And if you can't change it, you have to relax and accept the situation. If you're stuck someplace where you cannot move it, or in an undesirable situation, if you're sick in your hospital, you just have to accept that you are there right now, but it doesn't you have to be your permanent reality. But to sit in the hospital bed and demand that I need to be outside when your body's not ready to be outside is creating all this stress, this worry, and will make you sicker because you're protesting against this moment.
So the acceptance is the key here, right?
Yeah, you have to accept this moment. Then once you accept this moment, you have to see if this moment can be changed or not. If it cannot be changed, then you just reside in acceptance. Because your spirit is always accepting this moment. It's not protesting against life. It's just the way it is right now. It doesn't mean my permanent reality. It's just the current experience. And that current experience could last a long time and the mind will grow impatient. But we just have to keep going back to this presence, this deeper essence within us, and to be finding the joy in that moment. Yes, I'm stuck here, but I can still appreciate that I'm alive to have this experience, to reflect on a better way of life once this situation ends.
Excellent. So not allowing life conditions to define us. So how can individuals detach their self identity and external circumstances, and what benefits does this bring to us?
Yeah, so it's to detach is just really to let go of the mind, all the thinking and trying to figure things out and just learning to just relax, to align with who we really are, that we are spirit, that we are soul, that we are consciousness, that we're always connected to Allah, God, whatever you wish to call it, that there is no separation. That was always confusing to me. If I just back up a little bit for me, what was always confusing, I know I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Bible or not, but in the Bible, it states that we're made in the image and with the image of God, that we're always made in the image and likeness of God. And it's like, okay, if we're made in the image and likeness of God, what is that? It's spirit, it's soul, it's consciousness. It's that which is within us. But we get caught up on this exterior, this human flesh, and forgetting that we're made in the image and likeness of God. That's the deeper essence that's within all of us, that we're all children of God or Allah, you could say, that there is no separation. We're all interconnected. And we just get caught in this identity and separation, and it just creates too many issues and wars and hostility and crime and all sorts of things of separation and just forgetting who we are. We are made in the image and likeness of God. How can we not do all things? The strength of God is within us. The strength of Allah is within us. So how is anything incurable? How is anything impossible? It's because the mind has convinced you it is so.
Okay. So changing the course of our life. So you have changed the course of your life, being sick for 38 years. Now you are an inspiration for others and motivation for others. So would how would you advise someone who wants to, contemplate a major shift in his or her life?
Yeah, if they want to create a major shift, learn to be present. As they're trying to create a shift, they're probably in their mind still. They haven't awakened to their true identity, their divine within them. They're still in this mind of the material. the material is the best way to describe it, that they're still in this physical reality. They're not going to this deeper place of setting this intention, this prayer that I want to have this house, I want this spouse, I want these children, whatever it may be, and just setting the attention in a deeper place connected to all that is, and then just being open to receive that, not setting that intention. Then when you're up out of that practice, the mind instantly saying, this will never come to be. You're not deserving. You don't have the right education. You don't have the money. The mind will just keep going with 1,001 excuses why your intentions, your prayers won't come true, forgetting that you're connected to Allah, you're connected to God. No separation. You can have it all. It's always saying yes to you. Back to the healing. If you're always focused on that, I need to be healed, you won't be healed because the universe is always saying yes to you. So you have to be mindful of our thought processes or words that we're speaking to ourselves. And when the mind starts the negativity, you come back to feeling your feet on the ground, you feel yourself sitting, you just get yourself back into this moment because we're either in the mind or we're here. So if somebody needs to make a major shift, they just need to learn how to be here and how to shift out of those mental stories. And sometimes those mental stories are in the subconscious where they're not front and center, if you will. They're blocking you in some way. Then you need a teacher like myself who can tap into that and say, do you see what's happening here? This is the pattern that has locked in. And that's where teachers can dive into this deeper essence and see what is causing that block that might not be apparent because we're too close to it, if you will. I have all sorts of stories, about this where a woman in her 30s never had a good relationship. She never had any clue why her relationships just were not good. And so I sat with her and I'm like, and I can't explain where this comes. There's a divine within us that knows the answers. So when I was sitting with her, I was like, I'm seeing this experience at age 6. What am I seeing here? And when she's described the scene, it was a dance recital and she couldn't participate because she was new to the company, the team, if you wanted. She didn't know the routine. So she'd established this belief that she wasn't good enough, that she wasn't deserving. So once we're able to see that story for what it is, a story, everything just cleared up and moved on. But that's that divine within us, the knowing that, if you sit quietly, nice and still with someone, you might get an answer of how to help them move forward.
So, going towards the teaching career or aspect of your life, so how would you guide or the the patients or the people come to seek help from you? How would you guide them steps by steps or daily practices that they can implement to start their journey towards a more joyful, prosperous, and authentic life?
Right, because the job of a Baba, a guru, a spiritual teacher is just simply remind you of your own light, your own divinity within you. That is a true spiritual teacher, is to remind you of your own light, your own wisdom, and is to point you back to you. And it's usually very simple to sit still, to be quiet, to notice that you're sitting, that your feet on the floor. Just it's very, very simple. Just coming back into this moment. Most people don't know how to be in this moment. They're very restless. They have this huge to-do list. And it's like let all that go and just to be here, just to sit. And there was this Zen saying I like, and the Zen saying is sit for 20 minutes a day. If you're too busy, sit for 60 minutes. Because the mind is just busy and you might just need to sit more to get the mind to settle in. So it might just be a matter of just, well, I tell people start with like a minute, two, maybe 5, and you just sit there and you just notice this moment. You notice what you hear, you notice that you're sitting, your feet are on the ground. But when the mind starts getting wrapped up in the story and you can't bring yourself back into this moment, get up and walk around, do something else. Of just sitting there and allowing your story to get larger and larger and larger makes it harder to come into the present moment because the mind doesn't want to give up control. It likes dragging you around all over the place in a place to keep you comfortable, to keep you safe, to keep those patterns repeating because it's familiar. You know it, it's familiar, but going a new way is scary to the mind. So it will protest that this is boring, this isn't working. But I sat for 5 minutes a day. That was my practice. And when I began, I always thought like meditation, sitting quietly was meant the mind stops thinking. So the mind would start thinking, and I would say, stop thinking. Mind would be thinking, stop thinking. Mind be thinking, stop thinking. Then I realized, wait a second, that's a thought chasing a thought. So I'm not my thoughts. If I'm not my thoughts, who am I? And that was the thing that set me free to realize I didn't have thoughts. And there's another spiritual teacher out there, Eckhart Tolle, and his story was very similar as well. He was in a very depressed, very sad state. And he kept saying to himself, I can't live with myself. I can't live with myself. I can't live with myself. Then he stopped himself and he's like, who's the I can't live with? It's the mental I that was creating all the depression, all the suffering, to realize we have thoughts, but we're not those thoughts. We are the likeness and image of God within us, that we were created that way, that the divine is within us. It's not outside of us, it's within us. And to realize, we are this energy that can do all things, this consciousness, that there's nothing's incurable, nothing is impossible from the eyes of God, the eyes of Allah, eyes of spirit, soul, whatever you wish to call it. But we get hung up on words as truth. But the real truth, the real experience of Allah, of God, is beyond words. You can't accurately describe it, of that peace, that divine love. You can't really give words to that feeling of joy and bliss when you're fully here in this moment, connected to, Allah, connected to God. You just feel that overwhelming sense of love, of bliss, of knowing that all is well. Regardless of the mind, all is well. Everything's in divine order when it makes no sense to the mind.
Excellent, excellent session with you, Sam, and I really loved the things I could understand, and I really wish that I could understand all of it, but I couldn't. So thank you so much for for be here, and I really appreciate your presence here.
Yeah,
I'm glad that that you accepted my invitation.
yeah, it was great to realize that you don't need to understand. You just need to relax. There's a part of you that knows. I'm just here to remind you of that which you know, that the divine is within you. You're always connected. You can do all things. We just have to simply let go of these mental stories that are creating a separation between you and Allah. There is no separation. You are one. You were made in His image and likeness. You are the child. So we just have to listen to the parent, if you will, that divine knowing. But it was great talking to you, and just realize there's nothing for you to understand. Relax. You know that you know. Great to be here.
Thank you so much again, and stay connected with me on Facebook so I could learn more from you. And again, thank you so much for being here.
All right, great talking to you. All right.
So, audience, that was Baba Sam Shelley from New York. I hope that you enjoyed this session and learned from him. I'll see you next time, next session. Keep watching Rahmat Empowerment Wala YouTube channel for more amazing content. I'll see you next time. Have a great night. Bye bye.